Greetings, dear viewers, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to AddisDialogue. Today on the show, we will be talking about the bilateral ties between Ethiopia and the United States of America. As we are stepping into 2024, the diplomatic relations between Ethiopia and the United States of America have hit 120 years. Established in 1903, the bilateral ties between Ethiopia and the United States of America have been flourishing over the years across a spectrum of areas of cooperation. So how have they managed to sustain the momentum thus far, and what have been the bumpy roads all along? In search of answers to these questions and others along that line, I'm joined by the U.S. Ambassador to Ethiopia, Ervin Massinga, a great diplomat and a great friend of Ethiopia. With the program, I'm Shifara Olago. Do stay with us. Ambassador, thank you so much for making the time to talk to us on such important matters.
Thank you for having me today. This is my first television interview here in Ethiopia, and I'm thrilled to be doing it with you today.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. So let me just jump right into it. And, whenever we talk about Ethiopia and the United States of America, one of the things that springs to mind is the long-standing friendship between the two countries that has spanned 120 years. This is, I think, a historic milestone indicative of a long journey, sir, characterized by mutual respect, cooperative progress, things like that. So how has the diplomatic relation that spanned 120 years between the two great nations shaped the current friendship and relationship between the two countries, sir?
That's a great question. I've been here for a little over 3 months, and I'm getting used to that question. I'm looking at how the diplomatic ties between our countries have created the foundation for the enormous people-to-people and culture-to-culture ties that exist between the United States and Ethiopia and the American people, the Ethiopian people today, and that is going to be propelled going forward. There are symbols, big and small, of that diplomatic relationship, and big and small of that people-to-people relationship that animates the ties between our two countries. Just at my residence at the American Embassy, there's a small plaque that talks about John C. Robinson, a famous American who dedicated much of his life to helping the Ethiopian people resist fascism back in the 1930s, and then was instrumental in helping to propel forward private enterprise and Ethiopian Air here in Ethiopia. That's just one small example of all of this. As I travel around the country and I meet university presidents and engage in exchanges with Ethiopian academic institutions, I become more and more aware of the long-standing deep ties between American academia and Ethiopian academia, which has paid such dividends in education, creating a cadre of wonderfully trained and educated people who are propelling Ethiopia's economy forward. And of course, the diplomatic ties have been very, very important. Over very wide range of eras and times and situations. Governments here, governments in the United States, etc. But the trend line remains strong, and it is my job and my duty and my honor to keep those trends moving in the positive direction. And that's exactly what I plan on doing.
Sustaining the trajectory, right?
That's exactly correct.
Absolutely. So moving on from there, how has the recent conflict, as outlined in a recent agreement for lasting peace through a permanent cessation of hostilities, influenced the bilateral ties between the two countries?
Well, the way we look at it, we were thrilled to play our small role in helping African diplomatic leadership and, of course, the people and leaders of Ethiopia find a way to silence the guns and end the conflict that was so tragic for the people of Ethiopia. And, of course, there's much to do. for the international community and certainly the Ethiopian people to make sure that the fruits of peace are enjoyed by all. But from our standpoint, the cessation of hostilities agreement, the COHA, as we like to call it, was able to create a foundation and a floor to help our relations go forward. It's no secret that the conflict was a difficult one for the people of Ethiopia, as well as for our bilateral relations. But finding a way for peace to go forward, for compromise to reign, enabled the people of Ethiopia to move forward and our bilateral relations to move forward with it.
Thank you, sir, for that idea. Moving forward, Ambassador, to what extent has American financial aid to Ethiopia in response to the recent conflicts influenced the overall bilateral relationship between the two countries?
American assistance to the Ethiopian people is longstanding, as we all know. It was there before the conflict, it was there after the conflict, and as long as there is need, American assistance will be there. We all know the history of American assistance on the humanitarian front. And I am proud to be the ambassador here who has helped to ensure that humanitarian assistance has been able to move forward in a healthier way. The need is there. As much as the economy and the ability of the Ethiopian people to move forward and to grow and to be dynamic is there, and we want to invest in that, and we want to be part of that story. There is need. There is need.
Yes.
And the American people, through their great generosity, are happy to help and lend a hand where need is there, and that will continue to be the case. Happy to talk about that in greater detail, but the presence of our generosity is going to be an enduring element of the American-Ethiopian story as long as it's needed.
Yes, definitely. Talking about financial aid and support, sir, as you know, Ethiopia was one of the beneficiaries of AGOA.
Yes.
And this East African nation has lost the AGOA beneficiary status in 2022.
Yes.
Given the huge importance that AGOA has for the multitude of Ethiopians, shouldn't the U.S. reconsider reinstating AGOA, especially as a token of appreciation of the bilateral, the growing friendship between the two countries?
Thank you for the question. The United States government is always reassessing, always looking at the possibility and the conditions that would allow us to restore Ethiopia's eligibility for AGOA. We all know of the very positive, powerful growth story that was part of AGOA and Ethiopia prior to the decision that our government had to make at the end of 2022 to go in a different direction. It would be my honor and my great pleasure for us to be able to go back to those times. It's not possible right now, but we're always looking for the opportunity, always trying to assess whether or not the conditions will allow for that to be the case.
How do recent meetings between Ethiopian officials and U.S. representatives, such as the discussion with U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Mike Hammer, reflect the current relationship between the two countries?
Thank you so much for that question. I was able to help facilitate meetings between our special representative, our special envoy for the Horn of Africa, Mike Hammer, a good friend of mine, and top leaders, including the Prime Minister here in Ethiopia in recent months. Just in my short 3.5 month tenure, I believe we've had Ambassador Hammer here twice. And we've had other conversations at that level just in my short tenure. Those meetings underscore the imperative that my government feels for high-level, direct, honest, candid conversations at the highest level to help us see clearly avenues for cooperation, to address areas where we need additional work, and to have honest conversations about the future. for our country, for Ethiopia, for the region. Bilateral relations between countries of our size and importance are always going to be complicated ones. And it's important that we have conversations at that level. So I look forward to those types of conversations going forward.
The best is yet to come, right?
The best is yet to come.
Yes, sir. Let's also talk about the challenges the two friendly nations face. So what are the major challenges Ethiopia and the United States of America face, and how should the two countries cooperate in order to overcome them?
It's a great question. I think it's important to start with the recent history in the region, the recent history in Ethiopia. We all know that Ethiopia has had a difficult past couple of years.
Yes.
We all understand that. And that has created a difficult environment for bilateral relations. Ethiopia continues to have challenges within the country on the security front. The United States is, my government and my people, we have worries. We have concerns about some of those conflicts. We have concerns about the ongoing continued conflict in parts of Oromia, and we would love to see an agreement reached to end the conflict between the OLA and the government. In recent months, there were discussions along those lines, and we very much would like to see those discussions brought to fruition, and so the guns and the conflict in that part of the country could come to an end. It's no secret that the situation in Amhara remains a complicated one. The U.S. has concerns about the conflict in Amhara, just as I know the people of Ethiopia do. So we would, in the meantime, urge a protection of human rights, of civilians and persons and property, just as the dialogue that is going to be necessary to end that conflict takes hold. Looking on the international front, the United States and Ethiopia share concerns about instability to the north. I was a diplomat in Sudan myself, and so my country is looking very closely at and is engaged in efforts to try and find peace, to bring silence to the guns in Sudan, and relief to the people in Sudan. We know the people of Ethiopia share those concerns about the ongoing conflict in Sudan.
Yes.
So it is important for us to have conversations about issues of mutual concern, certainly within the country, but then in the region as well.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, looking forward, sir, looking ahead in the future, what are the potential areas of growth and cooperation between Ethiopia and your great nation? And also, how should their diplomatic relations continue in the next 120 years, if you will?
Thank you for that forward-leaning, positive question, because that reflects exactly how I feel about the situation, exactly how I feel about the potentials that we have together. Ethiopia will be an engine, and is an engine of enormous economic growth for its people, for the region, and for the world. The United States and the American economy, U.S. businesses are intent and interested in investing in that growth story. And I believe that we can grow together. Be it in services, be it in banking, be it in aviation, be it in manufacturing, be it in agriculture. The sky's the limit. There are so many Ethiopians, certainly here in the country and in the diaspora, who are educated, who are capable, who are energetic, who are ready to go to work, who are working right now.
Exactly.
Just as you are building this wonderful studio, just as Addis is growing by leaps and bounds and becoming a modern city, the entire country is poised to do the same. American businesses understand that and are ready to engage. And the American embassy, the U.S. government, is ready to play its small role to help facilitate that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Ambassador Ervin Massinga, U.S. Ambassador to Ethiopia, thank you so much for your wonderful ideas. And I wish you success in your tenure.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I look forward to having additional conversations.
Me too, sir. Me
All right.
too. Well, dear viewers, with that, we come to the end of today's program. Thank you as well for having been with us so far. Until I see you next time with yet another program, it's a bye-bye from me, Shifa Raudak. Take care.